No, because the matter's been referred, Paul, to the district attorney, and I'm not at liberty to state publicly what we did identify. I don't want to compromise the investigation of the district attorney, who's in receipt of the records, okay, that are being investigated right now as to the alleged wrongdoing.
Was it the same type of issue that you found in Salzman? Can you say if it's similar conduct without being specific?
I can only state, Jesse, that it involves time and attendance.
When was the matter discovered and by whom?
Last, I believe it was Friday, if I'm not mistaken, and then we spent the weekend putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, and then Monday obtained additional documents to be able to corroborate allegations, which, as I stated earlier, none of this information was made available at the time of his appointment, nor was there any concern about what recently has become disclosed to the controller and the mayor.
Was this disclosed by someone you described as a whistleblower? Was this information that came
No,
from?
no, it was not.
The initial investigation came to light when you put in a time and attendance system. I guess what's the status on that system?
The initial investigation came about because of an audit on the department, the fire department, which was a prelude to implement this new centralized system, which at a staff meeting on Friday morning, I believe, I'm going to explain with the assistance of Controller John Toohey how this new system will be implemented. So we're in the process. It involves developing special documents and then coordinating the submission of those documents with civil service, and then in conjunction with the controller's office. All this will be explained, okay, at the staff meeting on Friday morning. But the answer to your question is this came about because the situation with Chief Searay came about because of information that became available subsequent to his employment. The issue with regard to Chief Salzman came about to basically as the result of a spot audit by Controller John Toohey.
Do you know when that time and attendance, the new system will be actually put into place?
Actually, I think it necessitates, Beth, okay, the department heads becoming familiar with it, the documents, which right now are in the final stages. So I would anticipate within the next few weeks, next couple of weeks, it'll be in play. And I just want to say, the reason I'm bringing back Chief John Reinhardt is because, quite frankly, he is the only one who has the operational, administrative, code enforcement background, budget, contract negotiations. And I also think at this point it's prudent on the part of the city to bring in a fresh set of eyes and ears. And I'm very confident that his background will be able to shed some light on what's been going on over there with some of you. So I'm looking forward to working with Chief Reinhardt. As I stated earlier, I'll be requesting an examination, okay, which will be held, an open competitive examination. I'll be seeking candidates from all over the state to fill that position as chief.
So that appointment is temporary, the chief.
That is correct.
And when was Chief Reinhardt chief?
Chief, you retired, sir, when?
1998.
1998. Another gentleman with an unblemished record.
Mayor, have time and attendance records been checked for other members of the fire department? And if so, what has been found?
As I stated, the entire department now, Michael, is being investigated with respect to time and attendance, overtime, and equipment purchases.
Okay, but nothing has been concluded on.
The investigation is in the process of being conducted. So the answer to your question, yes. So I don't have any other names or any other individuals we would be preferring charges against because the investigation hasn't been complete.
Mayor, two questions.
Yes, sir.
What about the police department? Is that investigated? Are you investigating the police department? You found two cases apparently in the fire department and one in the police department. Are you going back and looking at those ones?
No, because as the chief could weigh in here, I don't mean to put the chief on the spot, you have the state controller on an ongoing basis doing the audit. The chief has already put in place different procedure with respect to overtime and accrued leave at the recommendation of the New York State Controller's Office and with the assistance also of Controller Toohey and the FBI. So suffice to say at this point, I believe, and the chief can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, sir, I think at this point you're expecting an audit to be released in the next couple of months as to the state's findings and then the recommendations that you've complied with. Is that correct, sir? Yes, sir.
Mayors, you made several references to this the situation being fairly recent, in the last few years, how far back does it go? Do you have any indication of that?
We don't know, because we don't have all the records. What we do know, it could be going back to '08. At this point, I can't really state with certainty.
You talked about the culture a lot.
Yes, sir.
The culture of City Hall and the lack of leadership. It sounds to me like you're almost laying this blame right at the feet of former Mayor James Satire. Is that right?
No, you said that.
No, I know.
No,
But I mean, you said
what I
lack
said,
of
what I
leadership.
said, Mr. Kirby, specifically is the following: that for several years, due to a lack of leadership, you want to put it on his door, that's your prerogative. Okay? Quite frankly, in my opinion, he could have done things a little differently. And 4 years ago, when Mr. Toohey was appointed, I've had discussion with John Toohey about these issues off and on for 4 years, including but not limited to the accrual, the overtime process, including but not limited to a whistleblower, an ethics law update, and all of this information was conveyed to the prior administration.
Right.
And consequently, even despite after what happened down in the police department with one individual, why don't you inquire of the prior administration why he didn't take steps to follow the recommendations of John Toohey or the recommendations that Chief Tinty was required to follow by the New York State Controller's audit? I would suggest you ask Mr. Satile that question.
Okay, we will.
Mayor, do you have any idea what the city's exposure is with these two cases? How much money we're talking about?
With Chief Salzman, no, I don't. Again, I couldn't state with certainty. All the records are now in the custody and care of the district attorney, which are now part of the investigation that's ongoing. With regard to Assistant Chief Ray, the same would be applicable. I don't know.
You'd mentioned as well in your comments that the district attorney would be looking into issues with equipment, which is obviously outside the scope of time and attendance. Can you be more specific as to what equipment?
There's been allegations, apparently, that some of the equipment has been taken home, been used at home by individuals in the command function. There's been allegations that equipment may not still be there. Quite frankly, I don't know. I mean, we need to do a reconciliation, okay, over a period of time to ascertain, okay, when the purchase date was of that equipment, its use, et cetera. And again, all that now is part of a district attorney investigation.
There were similar allegations made against the former Department of Superintendent of Public Works with time and attendance issues back then. Are you going to go into that too?
Probably not, because quite frankly, I don't know what you're talking about. Number two, he's no longer employed here. Number three, there could be a statute of limitations issue. So
I mean, just ask.
you're asking, but I'm not going to do anything about someone who doesn't work here and with these allegations made publicly without any substance to them. And again, I think there might be an issue with the statute of limitations.
Mayor, you'd said during your remarks, quote, "I'm pretty sure there will be more doings in the fire department that might be questionable." What's led you to reach this conclusion?
Just the nature of the investigation, Michael, and the information that's coming to light now that literally reflects a total lack of accountability and transparency. And a situation where you have people approving their own time and their own overtime. And then the problem for the city controller's office is that when they retire, they put in for a vacation or sick payout, which really is kind of difficult, if you will, to justify, because what are you going to do a reconciliation with? It's their records. That's why it's imperative for the controller's recommendation to put in a centralized time and attendance policy to ensure not only transparency and accountability, but accuracy when we issue checks that in some instances are $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 according to their contract, which they earn. I'm not disputing that. But we have to have some accountability and reconciliation before we issue the check.
I know that Assistant Chief Ray's appointment was pending the, results of an examination. Had he taken that exam yet?
Assistant Chief Ray was appointed Assistant Chief. He took an examination for Assistant Chief.
Yep.
Actually, under civil service law, because Assistant Chief is comparable to Chief, that examination, the chief very well would have had his examination for chief waived based on his status as assistant chief. That's the law. For instance, Chief Reinhardt, under the civil service law, can be reinstated without further examination, you say, because of his status as chief when he retired. So suffice to say, no, that's not an issue. But I am going to, because the chief is here for a temporary period of time to help with the matter, and he's doing it also to help me out as well for operational reasons. Given the investigation, I have to look from the outside, and therein lies those reasons why I'll be seeking and asking for an open competitive examination of candidates throughout the entire state of New York.
Do you have a time frame on this, Mayor? When you want
It's
it?
my understanding the exam series for chief, I believe is administered in January or February of every year. So I believe the exam request would probably be made sometime in the fall to give enough time for posting, okay? And it'll be open for people in the department as well, but it won't be a promotional exam.
Yeah, in terms of, you'd said obviously with when it was Salzman that it was the spot audit. How did the time and attendance issues regarding C-rate come to light? What first piqued your concern or interest?
I'm not going to answer that, because I think if I answer that question, then it gets back to what I'm stating since I started this conference, Michael. It's under investigation with the DA's office. It's a time and attendance matter, gentlemen. That's what it is.
Chief Reinhardt will be on, Chief Salzman's salary?
Chief, as a matter of fact, yeah, we're talking about that. We have to negotiate a contract with the chief. As a matter of fact, after this press conference, I'll be going over to the Raleigh Street Station, and depending upon his schedule, might very well go up to the Frogs Alley House along with the Ronda House, because I want to assure the men and women who are employed in that department that you do a good job. And I want people to know that when you go to work, you feel good about your job, because you're providing a very good service. And I appreciate it, so does the taxpayers. So basically, I think it's imperative now that we show those good men and women who do an honest day's work, okay, that we're there for them, and that the public understands that.
Any conflict with his pension?
No, actually, the retirement Social Security law provides that, given his circumstances, he has an option where he can actually be full-time employed and still collect his pension. Thank you.